Hi Fashion One, welcome to my atelier.
Spark a match and watch the candle burn. The wick runs out and then love takes it.
So I suppose my love affair with design started out when we were children. My sister and I used to make these beautiful little dresses for the fairies, and we'd leave them out on the rocks, and then we'd go back the next day and they'd always be gone. So we've always imagined these beautiful little nature spirits flying around with a little mini couture. And I suppose then I've always continued a love affair with nature. I've always loved just beautiful views and beautiful countryside, and I've always been aware of how our environment affects us. And in the same way, when I design, I bring those feelings for nature and those feelings for music and dance and life, I suppose, and bring it back into the design work. What keeps me inspired as a designer and what gets me going is just always wanting to create something new, and it's my way, I suppose, of sharing something and giving something beautiful into the world. I've always loved art, and I imagined that I would be more probably painting, but then I got into design work, and I always look at my designs or the pieces that I'm producing as works of art. And I think of every element of the design in terms of the textiles, and I like them to be pieces that you will still want to look at in 10 or 20 years' time, pieces that you could hang on your wall, or pieces that you would be proud to have sort of draped around the place. I consider it really important to think about the what goes into an end product. You know, as much as possible, I would always try to source sustainable, fair trade or eco-friendly kind of materials. I use a lot of organic silks, organic cottons and hemp materials and hemp knits. I hate to throw things away, and I'm quite sentimental about things, so I sort of like to put something special into different people's garments. Like, for example, with the pearl necklace that somebody gave me when I was sort of in my early 20s. It had broken and I've been sitting in a box, maybe going to be repaired one day, and I was able to just put it onto one of the dresses, and I think it made its way into about 3 different people's dresses. Got all these old cashmere jumpers, all the beaded ones from the 1950s, and even though they're all stained and damaged, when you cut out all the beadwork and then applique it onto new pieces, then it's reinvented, I suppose, and it gives it a new life. And I think it's quite exciting to see something old made into something new. So earlier on we were talking about the blossoms in one of the wedding dresses and one of the couture pieces. What I was thinking about is the new life and the marriage, and that it will be the early days of romance, and in the same way as springtime. So I love all those the blossoms that you see on the trees, and the cherry blossoms and so on. So I've kind of brought the leaves and the blossoms through the dress, and I'm using an organic silk as the base. The vintage inspired pieces are still very, very much on trend, and with those movies like the Great Gatsby and the Two Jacks, that roaring 20s and all the lovely decadence of the 1930s and 40s and glamour will still pour through the catwalks, and they will still be in fashion over the next year or so. It's never going to be not fashionable to have your figure shown in a really gentle and delicate way, and with clothes that have that kind of movement and dance and fun. Music and film and are things that will always influence us in the way that we dress as well. Thank you, Fashion One, for coming to